I'm John Batchelor. Gordon Chang of Forbes.com is here with me. It's called the Jin class. Type 094. Ballistic missile submarine. Chinese PLA Navy. Code name, if you're reading a Clancy thriller, Boomer. Rick Fisher of the International Assessment and Strategy Center joins because a Bloomberg piece appearing within these last days looked boastful of the Chinese PLA Navy putting a new missile into their boomers, a missile with a range, I think, in excess of 5,000 miles or kilometers, one or the other, and it was threatening to the mainland of the United States. So, Rick, my first question is, I didn't know the Jin class existed before I saw this Bloomberg piece. How is this compatible with peaceful rise? How is building a ballistic missile submarine with a capability of striking the continental United States anything but aggression? Good evening to you, Rick.
Good evening, John. Yes, the Jin class is a second strike weapon designed to ensure that nobody questions China's first strike weapons, and it's all intended to ensure the survival of the peacefully rising Communist Party dictatorship in China.
Rick, with the Jin class, they're going to start deterrence patrols in the Pacific, and this is apparently something new for the Chinese Navy. Where do you see this going, for instance, in the next half-decade?
Well, Gordon, the Jin class acoustically is not up to par with Russian and American submarines, which means we can find it much easier. So this is forcing the Chinese to accelerate their consolidation of their claim to most of the South China Sea. In the last year, China has initiated rather furious island building to build air bases, new ports. It will net these new bases and ports with undersea sensors, more ships, UAVs, patrol aircraft, all for the purpose of defending the boomers, much as Admiral Gorshkov formed the Soviet Navy to do during the height of the Cold War.
During the Cold War, Rick, of course, we took our attack subs and we tried to follow the Soviet boomers. Clearly, we're going to do the same thing with the Chinese. If you could just talk a little bit about what you think our countermeasures will be when the Jin class actually goes on these deterrence patrols.
Well, Gordon, I hope you're right and that we do go after the Chinese boomers. I mean, that's what we have a Navy for. But since the early 2000s, we've been telling the Chinese that our missile defenses in Alaska are not intended to counter the Chinese ICBMs aimed at the American people. And I don't understand that and accept it even less. But what are our countermeasures? Yes, we're going to have to build more attack submarines. We have about 50 now. We need about 200 more, in my opinion, because according to estimates that I've heard, the Chinese are going to aim for a fleet of 20 nuclear attack submarines of their own. So if we base 30 nuclear attack submarines in the Pacific, as per our current plans, that means we can only keep 10 on station, given our current deployment operating methods. So if the Chinese eventually have 20 and we can only generate 10, that's not good. That's not good at all, for not only for our ability to go after their boomers, but for our ability to deter China on a larger scale.
Rick, I want to stay with the politics of this. This is a quote from the Bloomberg piece, Nicholas Giacometti, who's writing for The Diplomat and the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He says of this deployment, of the announcement of the deployment and putting in the new missile, the long-range ballistic missile, for the first time in history, China's nuclear arsenal will be invulnerable to a first strike. Rick, did I miss something? Cold War ended about 20 years ago. Who's threatening a first strike on the Chinese? And the Martians don't count. So who is it?
Well, John, it must be those evil Americans who are trying to defend their allies, help Taiwan to survive as a democracy. I mean, these are policies that really threaten the party dictatorship in Beijing. They are incensed that we are helping the democracy in Taiwan to survive. They are incensed that we are trying to defend our ally from Chinese encroachment on their territory or encroachment on the territory of our Southeast Asian allies, in particular the Philippines. So they feel threatened to the point where they have to build a much larger nuclear arsenal.
Rick, I don't understand that quote that John just wrote. I mean, I've always thought that the Chinese, with their road-mobile nuclear missiles, were actually pretty much invulnerable to a U.S. Retaliation, largely because we can't find those things. At least we can't reliably find those things. So isn't that right? They right now are able to hide their nukes from us?
I agree, Gordon, that their road-mobile ICBMs in particular are very hard to find because of the extensive tunnels that they've built. They do have a few of their ICBMs in fixed silos, but those are very well camouflaged, and I'm not sure that we can find all of those. However, the SSBN program is largely one of prestige. Mao wanted the first SSBN simply because the Americans and the Soviets had them. And so this is just a continuation. It took them almost 40 years to come up with their second generation SSBN. But the third generation SSBN is probably going to happen much sooner, probably by the early 2020s.
Gordon, do they sit around and have hate sessions? Is that what's going on here? I mean, it's the 21st century. If we nuke China, there goes General Electric. I mean, to the least of it, Deere, everything. I can name the S&P 500 is wiped out if we put a nuke anywhere in China. So that's the best defense I can imagine.
Well, yes, they do actually have hate sessions. We got to go back to last October when Chinese state media across their main platforms, not only the PLA Daily, but CCTV, People's Daily, China Youth Daily, ran virtually identical stories about how Chinese ballistic submarines carrying nuclear-tipped missiles could incinerate 13 cities in the U.S., which they named, and also kill millions in Chicago through radiation. So, yes, John, they do have these hate sessions.
Rick, 30 seconds. You said they're noisy. That's a problem for a boomer, isn't it? Are they working on it?
Yes, they are, John. All of their systems are improving, and they may be getting some help from the Russians. There are some indications that the next generation boomer will have very specific Russian attributes. The Russians sold the Akula, which is a very good submarine, to the Indians. Maybe they sold some of that technology to the Chinese, too.
Rick Fisher, International Assessment and Strategy Center. Gordon Chang of Forbes.com. Jin class, boomer submarine, threatening science fiction war in the 21st century. I'm John Batchelor.